Hello again from my front porch. Uh, it's state fair time here in Iowa, but for the first time in a lot of years actually, I have not been to the fair, nor do I have any plans to go to the fair, and the last day of the fair is tomorrow. And part of the reason that I'm not going to go is because I'm not singing National Anthem. Now, trust me, I know how bad that sounds. But that's kind of what I wanted to deal with here. See, let me explain. For the last, I don't know how many years, a lot of years, I have had the opportunity and the honor of being able to start one day of the state fair with the National Anthem. And this year, when I tried to get in to do it again, I didn't get in. I don't know where the breakdown is, so I'm not pointing fingers. I do need to find out if the process has changed, and I just didn't know, so that next year I can do it better. But back in April, I started calling into the switchboard, and the operator would route me to, I'd say I want to talk to the person who is in charge of national anthems, and they would send me to somebody's voicemail, and I would leave a message saying who I was, that I sang national anthem for the last several years. I wanted to do it again, here's my number, and I would hear nothing. And I would let several weeks go by, and I would call and leave another message. And I did that several times for a lengthy period. And finally I went into my email and I looked up and I found an email address. I found emails from previous times. And that's a risk, because a lot of times the state fair has college summer intern folks who are helping at the fair, and they will assign things like coordinating national anthems to these individuals. Now, for a while, there was this one young lady who did it for like 3 years in a row, and that was awesome because we built a rapport. We connected. But the problem is when that intern is no longer there and is replaced by somebody else, they have a different email address, so it doesn't work so good. But I found an email that had like 3 names on it from one point, and so I thought I'll just take a shot and I'll send email to all 3, or an email that goes to all 3 of them, and inquired about it. And then I finally got a response. I got an email back, and this is probably 3-4 weeks before the fair, and I knew time was getting down to the wire. And what I got back was basically, we're sorry, we've already scheduled our fair singers. And I was like, what? Oh. I mean, I genuinely, I was like somebody just staked me in the heart. And so I was very disappointed. But, I replied back very nice and professionally, and I said, well, I'm obviously disappointed to not get to do it after having been able to do it for so many years, but it's always an honor for me. It's always an experience that I treasure, and now you're giving that experience to somebody else, and I'm sure they will treasure it as much. I hope they embrace it and find it to be as edifying for them as I have always found it for me. But then they did express that if I wanted to be on their backup list, that if somebody can't make it, to reach out to me. And I said, sure, yeah, absolutely. Well, tomorrow's the last day of the fair, and I haven't heard anything from them, so I don't think that's going to happen. Darn. But it occurred to me that in years past, I've only really gone to the fair on the day that I was singing National Anthem. Now, partly because I didn't have to pay to get in, I didn't have to pay to park. They give me a parking pass and a ticket to get in. So maybe I'm just cheap. But once you're in there, they're getting a lot of my money. I trust you. Trust me. But the weirdest thing, and there are fair days that I've gone other days other than just that day, and it's not like it's that expensive to pay to get in. And in fact, for Front Porch, for many years, my bestie Tara and I were doing our food day at the fair. Well, we didn't do it last year. She had some schedule conflicts. We weren't able to do it, and I didn't want to do it with somebody else. That just didn't feel right, and so that tradition kind of ended. And we could have done it again, I suppose, this year, but I was gone a lot for traveling. Really, I've only been home for a few days here that it could have worked, and I was really busy. I couldn't have taken those days to be gone. Now we're down here the last weekend and just not feeling it. And maybe it's because I'm still licking the wounds of disappointment. I suppose that I'm not. I am not putting myself on a pedestal that I'm like this really uber human being that I can be petty. I can be emotional. I can be upset about stuff. Now I don't do very well with holding grudges. I really don't. There are a very small list of people who I would prefer to not interact with ever again. But for the most part, even if you and I have some kind of relationship, any kind of relationship, even a romantic relationship, and we part ways, as long as we're able to do that as adults, I still value you as part of my life in some capacity, if you value that as well also. And so, I mean, I do. I have friends that either I have gone out with a long time ago, or that I had been interested in going out with, and they were not interested in me, and that's okay too. It's their choice. But then we just became friends, and that clicks, that works, and so that dynamic that happens. But in this case, the singing at the fair, I don't know what it was about it, but it really just gut checked me. Now, maybe it gut checked me because I don't really understand why I didn't make the cut. I was trying really hard to get myself in there. I was following the rules. I was doing at least what traditionally was what I was supposed to do. And so if the rules dynamics change, that's why I said I got to find out what the protocols, what they prefer now is, so that I can maybe get back in next year. But it was just no. I mean, after having done it for many years, there was just like, I don't care about you. I mean, I don't believe it was anything personal. I really don't. But it was really hard not to take it personal. I mean, I even think back to COVID year when they were having trouble getting people to come sing because everybody was so nervous. I actually went out at least twice. I think it's just twice. Was it 3 times? It's at least twice. Of the 12 days or so of the fair, I did it more than once because I was willing to come do it. They were able to call on me, and I was willing to go do it and be there for that. And so as silly as it sounds, as small and as petty as it might make me sound, there's a part of me that's like, wait a minute, y'all. I was there for you when you needed somebody, and then you just throw me aside? What's up with that? Again, I don't believe anybody sat there and went, Paul Smith? Oh, no, we don't want him back. I don't believe that actually happened. I mean, it could, I suppose, but there's no indication that happened. Somehow, the voicemails that I was leaving just kind of got ignored, faded away into nothing. I just think my name didn't get to the right person. I think there was a breakdown in the system, or that system changed, and that's what I got to figure out. But back to my disappointment, because this is something I should back up. I should have started this by saying people have asked me, when are you singing at the fair? And I keep deflecting it. I keep downplaying it. I keep saying, well, I'll let you know, or something like that, because I didn't want to be dramatic about it. I'm not trying to throw the fair under the bus. I'm not trying to, badmouth the fair because they didn't select me to be able to sing Anthem this year. That's not my motivation here. I swear. But it's come up quite a bit, and the more I thought about it, the more I thought, I should. I mean, share so much other stuff here as part of the, hey, I'm dealing with this. You might deal with this kind of thing too. And so let's talk about this level of disappointment and how we personalize and internalize these kind of things, because this is for a lot of folks, this can be a crippling thing, because it would be easy, very easy for me to go, well, fair, you don't want me to come sing for you? Well, then fine, I'm done with the fair. I'm not going there. Well, I mean, I guess I didn't go this year. but to say, no, I'm not even going to worry about it. I'm not going to call them again. I'm not going to go out there again. And people ask me about it. I'm going to stay. No, yeah. It would be very easy for me to take offense, to internalize that, to take it very personally, and create this whole narrative in my brain of how the fair has it in for me. But reality is, I think that's silly. I think that's absurd. Logically, I don't believe that at all. The problem is, emotionally, we can tell ourselves all kind of stuff, especially when we get disappointed about something, especially when we have our heart set on something and it just goes whoof, for no apparent reason whatsoever. We have no opportunity to fight for it. We have no opportunity to try to get it back. We have no ability to be able to correct it, it just is gone in the wind. And we're left with nothing. That level of disappointment not only can be heartbreaking, it can be debilitating emotionally. Depending on what it is and how much you have your heart set on that, how much you're invested in that. To have something just go away, that's tough. Now, I could just say, well, so you got to have the right attitude about these kind of things, and there is some truth to that. But I mean, I've already said that kind of stuff on other episodes. So here, I want to touch on something that might rub some people the wrong way. I'm sorry, but I believe that to some extent, pretty much everybody has narcissistic tendencies. And what I mean by that is, there are many definitions for what a narcissist is, but I want to focus just on the concept that a narcissist is somebody who is focused on themselves to the exclusion of everybody else. And that because of that mindset, they can justify their actions, their behaviors, their comments that they do to other people because they are interpreting or defining the what is right and wrong, the moral high ground, if you will, based on how whatever is going on impacts me, and that's my sole level of focus. So that's what I'm going to say for my definition of narcissist. Again, there's a wide variety of them. Look them up on Google. There's a whole bunch of stuff. But that's where my head is at when I'm saying that. And the reason I say I think to some degree we all have that narcissistic tendency is because, now, some have a lot more than others, but when a situation like this happens, when we have this opportunity to have something, the rug pulled out from under us, that's where we have to stop and say, wait a minute, hold on. I don't like that. Why don't I like that? I don't like that because it goes against what I wanted. Let's use my singing anthem at the fair as our example here. I'll be happy to put myself up on the block. I don't like that the fair didn't let me sing the anthem this year. But somebody did sing the anthem in my place. Because every day of the fair still had an anthem singer. And even if, by some chance, it was the exact same group of people as last year, except for one difference. No Paul, instead it's this person. Even if that's what happened, and I doubt that's what happened either, but could have. Even if that's what happened, that one new person in that scenario, replacing me, was getting an opportunity they otherwise would not have had. Now, I can be narcissistic, selfish, focused on me, and whine and complain. How come I don't get to do what I wanted to do? I don't like what's happening. I don't think this is fair. I don't think this is right. But reality is, I have had the opportunity to do that multiple times over many, many years. I appreciate that. I love it. But now, somebody else was doing it possibly for the very first time. And that's a cool thing too. That doesn't make them better. Doesn't mean I'm a victim. It doesn't mean any other bigger picture thing other than I've had this wonderful experience and now somebody else also understands that wonderful experience. It's a good thing. It's a wonderful thing. I support that. Now, I'd prefer to support that with me also getting to do it too. But that narcissistic tendency would cause me to do that lashing out. To say, no, if I'm not able to do it, then to the fair, I'm done with you. Because I didn't get my way. And, the person who replaced me, well, I'm sure they're not as good. I'm sure they're not as patriotic. I'm sure it doesn't mean as much to them. It's just something they get. I don't know that. I don't know the person. I don't know the circumstance. I don't know how to. They could be a wonderful human being who was in tears because they got the opportunity to. I don't know. Point is, I have a choice. And this goes to the attitude thing. Sorry, yeah, we are going to go there. I have a choice to decide, am I going to take this whole situation into account and ponder it purely from the mindset of how does it impact me and how does it make me feel as if I'm the center of the universe, very narcissistic, or do I have the maturity to go, you know what? I am disappointed. I am saddened that I didn't get to do that this year, and I really am. But I can also celebrate that somebody else did. It's not easy. I'll be honest about that. It is not easy. It is not even remotely easy. Because I would just being transparent, I would very much like to give in and wallow in the emotion about it and be able to be all petty and small. And I know plenty of other people in my life who not only would be that way, but they would encourage me that it's okay for me to be that way. Yeah, but I don't agree. And it's not who I am. And it's not who I want to be. And I don't believe it's who you should be either. Now, you're not necessarily in this scenario where you didn't get to sing anthem at the Iowa State Fair. But I guarantee you've got other situations going on that run very parallel to the emotions, to the feelings, to the disappointment. And how is it impacting you? Now, I'm not saying that we have to embrace all disappointment and just be la, 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 well, I guess that happens. No. Something happens. It's okay to be disappointed. It's okay to feel bad about it. It's okay to be sad that something you enjoy you don't get to do. That's totally okay. That just proves how much you enjoy it. It's a good thing. What is bad is when we adopt that narcissistic approach and make it all about me, all about us. And when we do that, we sit back and we say, the rest of the world doesn't matter. All that matters is me. And that is where we don't want to go. Yeah, you say, oh no, Paul, that is where I want to go. That is a dangerous place because that is where you wind up isolated on your own. You ultimately drive everybody else away because nobody really wants to be around you. And all you do is create a downward spiral for yourself where you start to blame the rest of the world and the rest of the world pulls away from you and then you just continue to blame them even more because they've abandoned you and you go down, down, down. Don't do that. Don't let yourself go there. Please. Again, it's not, I'm not sitting here as a poster child of, yay, you gotta, because I struggled with it. When I first got the news that I was not going to be singing at the fair this year, it knocked the legs out from under me. I'm not going to lie. I was saddened by that. As it's turned out, again, like I said, I've been traveling a lot for work. It might have almost been impossible for me to do it anyway, because unless they would have let me pick the day that I was going to do it, because sometimes they don't. Sometimes they tell me, this is the day we want you to do it. This is the day we need you to be here. I might not have been able to do it, realistically. So who knows? As I've said in other episodes, I've come really in my mature age to understand that everything happens for a reason. Sometimes the reason is you were stupid and you deserve it, but everything happens for a reason, including this. This happened for a reason. And so, all right, I'll accept that. I may not fully understand the reasons, but I'll accept that it does happen for a reason and move on. Because that's one way that I can avoid slipping into the narcissistic tendency. He says, as he sits here pontificating, talking to you, to the camera, expecting you to listen to this because what he's saying is so important. And so, trust me, I don't miss the irony of that. All right, well, with that little bit of self-awareness, I'm going to let you all go, and I'll see you next time from my front porch.